Alright, so I picked up Grim Dawn a little bit ago for the Steam sale here, and I've been really enjoying the Demolitionist. Um, class has been really fun to play. I ended up pairing it with the Inquisitor because I think later on I'm going to switch to a ranged build where I use Fire Strike, and Inquisitor's just got a lot of nice bonuses to range skills. But for early leveling, I really enjoy and would suggest the Blackwater Cocktail, just leveling up as quick as you can to get to this 5 point, getting 1 point in here, and getting 1 point into your passive Flame Touch gives you a nice bonus to Fire and Burn, and then just keep pumping up your Blackwater Cocktail and moving along your tree until this gets to about level 6. And the nice thing about this is it gives a really good reduction to offensive abilities that enemies hit you with, and it's a flat reduction, which can be very, very potent in the early game compared to like percentages at this early point. So it's that skill I just used a second there where it has this giant AoE, and once you get your high potency, you're going to have a nice damage boost to it. It is going to have a longer cooldown, but it is definitely worth it. You could hold off on this until you get to the cluster bomb if you want to, but I ended up speccing into this pretty much as soon as I got there. And I also just suggest putting 1 point into this passive here, give you a little bit of movement speed, a little health regen, and just a little bit of survivability with the little passive abilities that it gives you there. The one thing about this is you don't want to get hit too often. It's all about kiting around the enemies and keeping them in your fire, letting your burn and fire damage do all the work for you. So you are pretty squishy, so having any bit of survivability is nice because you're not really going to get it until you get to this blast shield here, which is a huge lifesaver. It gives you the damage absorption and gives you some resistances as well. And that procs anytime you get under the 60% mark there. So anyway, moving along, you're going to want to get to this 20 marker, which you end up doing by like level 12 or so with your investments in here and everywhere else, because you're only putting 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 6 points, and then just boosting all the way to here. Getting a couple points in a canister bomb, and you can get the 1 point in here. It's really not that big of a deal. If you find that enemies are really hurting you, it's probably worth getting that 1 point. You get the reduction, the percentage reduction on top of the flat reduction, so it ends up being a nice little boost to your defense essentially through reducing enemy damage. And I wouldn't really worry too much about this that early on. 1 point isn't too bad, especially for your canister bomb, because it does the pierce damage there, and once you end up getting to this later on, it does some internal trauma damage as well, which gets boosted here. So it can be nice to have, but maybe just 1 point for now. This you want to get up to about level 6. I'd suggest doing like 2 points, 1 point, 2 point, 1 point until this is 6. Then you're going to get to the Thermite Mine, and that's where you really start coming online. And this is about like the level 20 marker, so I'd say like 22 to 24 is probably the more realistic. And the good thing about this ability here is you can have 2 of these up, and they give you a reduction to enemies' elemental resistances. So you hit them with that Thermite Mine, then I like to hit them with the Cocktail, and then use the Canister Bomb as your big damage. But that can really vary depending on kind of what items you find. Your real focus is just getting burn and fire damage on everything that you absolutely can. I didn't worry about any real minor armor upgrades or anything. You don't want to really be getting hit. You want to be running around the enemies, making them run through your fire. So you want boost to your fire and burn damage, and then the skills that you use more than any type of small armor or survivability for the most part. If you really, really need it, then sure, but as you can see with all my pieces, it's all burn, and fire. And that's really just the name of the game, is boosting those skills. So As you can see, I've got a big boost, 946% to fire at this point, and 743% to burn. Just kind of insane bonuses going. Just going to show off the build here. One thing that you won't really have early, you'll see some meteors dropping down. That comes from this weapon here. I didn't realize at first. I thought you had to like shoot the gun to get that to proc, but it'll proc off of any of your damaging abilities. So I pretty much never shoot. I'm always just moving around just to stay more mobile and not get hit. I haven't done this yet on Elite, so I'm kind of curious how it's going to go. This build, as you'll see here, pretty much destroys everything that doesn't have high fire resistance. So I'm curious to what it's going to do on this first major boss of Act 1. Or I guess it's the end of Act 1. But as you see, just absolutely crushes all the smaller mobs there. I don't even have to shoot him. I could actually just use that aura and then those meteors to pretty much kill everything. Just with all the boosts that I have to the fire and the burn damage. Like that aura doesn't have a ton of damage on the card, but because of the boosts we get, it does do good damage to the small adds there, as you see. So you pretty much just run around in circles if you want with this setup, but it's much more fun to just spam 3 grenades for myself. Apparently you can only pick those up once per character. Doesn't matter what playthrough you're on. So we got a little boss. Hit him with that, hit him with that. Then we throw our big DPS at him. And he just burns himself down. I just leveled up. Nice. I'll keep putting points in here. I feel tanky enough. Get more shred on my elemental resistance for enemies. That's really the big thing. Once I hit enemies that resist fire pretty well, those are the only things that kind of cause any type of threat for this setup. I just found this much more fun to play than the standing in the rune for Inquisitor. So once you get below that 60% health, you do get that proc there. That was kind of silly of me to run into all those enemies at once. Should have been a little more cautious with those guys that self-destruct there. I'm going to try not to fully explore, just kind of push to the boss here. Can fully explore later, or more when I get to the ultimate difficulty. It seems like I'm kind of outscaling it a little bit harder in Elite, even than the normal veteran. So as you see, I pretty much just throw all 3 abilities at the biggest enemy I can find and watch them all burn, run around them. I know I really should, but I haven't really picked up many of the items in this game. I more or less have used money to respec my character and kind of try different things out here. Alright, so kind of curious how this boss fight's going to go. I'm sure if I get hit, he will absolutely destroy me. And learn about this personal rift thing because I didn't actually read the game tip when it came up. That was a lifesaver. He's been expecting me. Oh, I completely whiffed with my big hit. This is the easy part. Force transform. Oh. Yeah. I walked right into that like a moron. And then I hit the wrong heal button. That's alright. Does show how squishy the build is. I shouldn't have been hit by either of those abilities, but ooh. Gotta pop my passives. You said that already. Alright. Now the real fight. Again, you can pretty much let the burn damage do everything. I'm gonna actually hit the heal button this time. And he doesn't have much fire resistance because it melted off pretty quick. But other than my horrible play where I wasn't really paying attention and got hit by 2 abilities in a row like a dum-dum, that is how this build works. It is really, really fun and satisfying to play. It is all about kiting around the enemies and doing big burn damage. But yeah, that is Demolitionist, or the way I've been playing it. Thanks for watching.